Okay, in this tutorial I'm going to do Ironman, and I've had a lot of requests for this, so I thought this would be a really good one to do a tutorial on. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I want to get the base outline first. Ironman's a more popular face that you can do for kids, but sometimes it's a little bit too lengthy to do. Now, as with all my tutorials, the more you practice, the better you're going to get at them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to do an Ironman face, but first I'm going to sketch it all out. Okay? Great thing to do when you're practicing a new face is to have a reference photo, and I have one right over here on my computer. I have a mirror behind me so that I can see what I'm doing, and I have a small mirror right here that I can use to really get the details. Now I'm going to take my number 6 brush, which you can get at any arts and crafts store, and I'm going to pick up just a little bit of white, and I'm using Diamond Effects white, and I'm going to sketch how I want the Iron Man to look. Okay? Now first of all, I always start off with my forehead and work my way down. That way I know exactly where to go with everything. So first off, I'm going to do a line across the brow, which is the bottom part of the little dip that you'll find in Iron Man. Now I'm going to come up and that's going to be your little dimple spot. Now there's different things to it, and you can highlight it out, and I'm going to just draw this line here, which you'll see later what I'm going to do with that. It's going to give it a three-dimensional appearance. Now I'm going to come down just a little bit on either side, and then I'm going to frame out. This whole middle part is going to be your yellowish or goldish or whatever color you want, but you got to remember the Iron Man face is red on the outside, gold on the inside. So I'm going to bring it down to the edge of the eyebrow. Then from there, I'm going to come out to about where my sideburn is right here. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay? Now the rest is going to come in. Now it does kind of a rounding part, so I'm going to show you right here what I mean by the rounding. Make sure you get those lines straight. That's the great thing about doing the white, because you can go over the white and it doesn't really make too much of a difference. Now you're going to come down to almost the corner of the mouth right here. And it gives it a slight rounding sensation. Now, the mouth is separated out, so I'm going to do a little rounding and down. Give a little dimple there. Okay? While still doing this, I'm going to take and draw a line down. That's your little void there that's going to be black. That is also where the mouth comes in. And you're going to give it a little bit of a, now up here you're going to take this part and you're going to bring it down to about your eyebrow. On either side, and you're going to go across and connect them, kind of rounding it a little bit. That's going to be where your eyes are going to be attached to. Now I like to do eyes on the eyelids. So the way I'm doing this is I'm just doing an underline part that comes to the corner where you first had it. Alright? This is going to bend down just a little bit. And you're going to be able to create the whole eye as the Ironman eye. It's going to look a lot bigger than it would on the actual Ironman, but that's okay. And bring it in. All that area in there is going to be white. So you can do that now if you want, because you're going to outline in some black and you're going to give it some real good detail. I'm going to go ahead and paint that in white first, the whole eyelid. Because you're going to outline it in black and it's really going to pop. And you'll see what I mean once I actually get the rest of the colors down. Let me just fill this in completely white. Make sure you get the eyebrows. Now there are different subtleties to the actual mask, but you could always do that with black and shading and everything else that you need and stuff. I mean, you'll really get the hang of it once you actually get the face down. So one of the things is you're going to have a little bit of shading right here. That comes in. Now I'm going to go ahead and fill in all the areas using my sponge. And I'm going to start off with the yellow areas, and then I'm going to go in with the red areas. Now I'm going to use a little bit of brown in with the yellow too, so that it gives it not such a too much of a yellowish tone. But I'm going to use this darker yellow that I have. Some people think of it as an orange. I don't. I think it's more of a darker yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this color. I want to fill in all the areas that are going to be gold. I'm just doing a little push dab. And I do want to go over those white lines a little bit. Don't worry if you go over the lines, it's not going to hurt it. Now, once you have the color sponged, okay, you can go in and you can add details to that area with a sponge before you do anything else. Even before you do the red. I'll show you what I mean in a second here. Let me finish sponging it in. Okay. Now I'm going to take just a little bit of brown on my sponge. I'm going to work in a little bit of shading. Into certain areas. And this is just going to give it a little bit of depth and dimension, so it makes it look more realistic. Alright. Now that I have that, I'm going to take a little bit of white. I'm going to go in, I'm going to sponge on top to give it some highlights. Okay. Now, the next color you're going to use is going to be red. Red is going to go around the whole outside of this yellow. Now this is where you don't want it to bleed too much into the yellow. Let me get the mirror out of the way so you guys can see. So you do all your red. Using the edge of your sponge is a lot easier because then you can really define the details and you don't get the bleed over onto the color you don't want it on. And if you notice, I'm just sponging it by stippling it on. You get better control that way, especially with a line. We'll completely cover the rest of the face in this red. Now I'm going to pick up just a little bit of brown with it. I'm going to do some shading with this too. Just taking the sponge and getting it just a little wet so it's not too covered in brown, so that when I do this, it gives it a nice shading without it being too overpowering with the brown. Now I'm going to take the same red and I'm going to dip it into my black a little bit. Like I said, just using it dry so that I just pick up the black. And there are a couple parts that I really want to lay the black down. To really start shading it a little bit more. Mainly on the outside of the face, where it rounds it out, so you create like a shadow. And up in the forehead a little bit, right where that little part is. Now I can go ahead and take my white again and do some highlights in those areas. Just by sponging on top until I get the right consistency of white that I want in those areas. Okay. Now I'm going to take my black with my number 6. I'm going to start outlining the different things that I really need to outline. Like, first of all, I'm going to outline the forehead. Using really thin lines. I don't want them to be too thick. And as I showed you, that little part that's up at the top, okay, then I'm going to follow around the outside. Alright. Then I'm going to fill in the void there. Okay. Sorry if I blocked it a little bit. Didn't mean to. But just going to add in just a few little of these details. Just to make it more prominent. I'm going to dry off my brush a little bit. Just drag it out onto your rag so that you can take off the excess. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to do that little shadow line. All the way down. Now I'm going to take a little bit of, just a little bit more black. I'm going to do the eyes now. So I'm not going to do the top line like I did. I'm going to use white on that again because I really want it to pop out. But I'll show you what I'm going to do with the eyes. I'm going to take it from one corner of the eye to the other corner, come down. From this corner of the eye I'm going to go straight up. Same thing, this corner of the eye, straight up. Bring the eyes down. Bring the corners in. And this time I'm going to wipe off my brush quite a bit. I'm going to kind of shade it so it looks like there's a shadow there, like it's more three-dimensional. I'm going to do that. I'm going to wipe it just underneath the eye too so it really blends in and fits. I'm just going to do that to the outside edge of this line so it really makes the eye look like it's prominent. I'm going to wipe it off just a little bit more, get off all that excess. I'm going to do the same thing to my shade line. I'm going to just do it on the inside. So it kind of blends it in. I'm going to do a little bit to this line here so it creates a shading. Same thing to this line. I'm going to do that to all the areas that I think the shading should be, so it kind of softens out some of those lines. So it really creates a cool effect. Alright. Now I'm going to take a little bit of white on my brush. Make it kind of a dry white. I'm going to go on top of those lines that I just shaded in. I'm going to create that highlighted brow effect. By outlining that one line again. And I'm also going to put some highlights in some other areas. Just like so. I'm just picking up a little bit of white. I'm not using a lot. I'm just highlighting those areas. If you need a little bit more water, get a little bit more water, but as soon as you pick it up, you want to dry it off a little bit so you don't use too much. And you're just going to hit subtle little areas to where you think the light is hitting the most. So it creates a highlighted rough. And there you go. That is my new version of Iron Man. I'll take pictures of it. It'll be below this tutorial. 3 pictures, front, side, close-up, so that you can get the details. Now, of course, I didn't do the line where the mouth is because you can do it on the upper lip or on the bottom lip. It doesn't matter. You can do the eyes a lot smaller. You can add color to them, like, let me see. I'll take a little bit of this light blue and I'll just dab it in there, give it an offset color a little bit so that it makes it look like it's glowing. So you see it makes it a little bit brighter and stuff. So this is my version of Iron Man, my, I guess, 3rd version of Iron Man, but I like this one the best. And as I said, you'll see the pictures down below, so you'll be able to do the same thing. Now, if you want a more simpler design, once you have this, you can refine it down as simple as you want. You can add all kinds of details. You can actually do it in gold and metallic red. I don't have those colors, but as soon as I do, I'll make another tutorial to show you how to do that. But have fun, enjoy this face, practice as much as you can, and look out for my next video. Thank you for watching.